South Africa have lost to India by 7 wickets in the final ODI on the tour. Guys, I don't even know what to say sitting here in front of you guys today. We're going to be talking about this, of course, and that's what the show is about. And it's an opportunity for you guys to also call in and have your say as well. It wasn't a very good performance today, of course. South Africa batted extremely poorly once again. And there's a lot for us to discuss in this particular match. So let's get into it. Let's not waste too much time. I'm going to give my little summary of the match. And then, of course, you guys can call in on the show and have your say, and obviously, as well, get involved in the live chat. So before we get going, before we get started, if subscribe to this channel, if you're new, please click that notification bell for all future videos. Please let people know that we are live right now. Actually, I'm going to send out a tweet as well to let you guys know that we are live, because we're coming to you live a little bit earlier than we normally do. So because we want to be as close to the game as possible, of course, and give you guys an opportunity to have time to digest everything that we have been saying in this particular show. I also would like you guys to please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. You can also become a patron today. That's how you help us grow and promote South African cricket. So the link is on the screen as well as in the description. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates, please. That's where you can find our reports, etc., and previews and features and everything that we do from a written perspective on cricketfanaticsmag.com. So let's get into today's video. Not really looking forward to discussing this, but looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. So let's get straight into today's video. A very good afternoon and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the third ODI between South Africa and India. Now, let me start off by saying that was a very poor performance by South Africa. Very poor performance by our batters. I think the thing that probably peeved me off the most or irritated me the most was the approach. Okay, I heard some commentators, of course, speak about it. Chris Morris was one of them that actually agreed with us as well, saying that this ODIs and the result in this ODIs won't necessarily affect the team going into the World Cup because, of course, it is in Australia, different conditions, etc., and it's a T20 and it's a different format. I don't know if I agree with that. And the reason why I don't agree with that is because of what Mark Boucher told us before the series started. He said that both the T20 and the ODIs are going to be an opportunity for us to prepare for this World Cup, for guys to put up their hands, for guys to get into the rhythm, of course, and prepare themselves for the World Cup. And what that means to me as a fan listening to this, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but let me know in the live chat if you do. That means that I'm going to see a certain approach to the game, a certain style of cricket. I thought that I was going to see a certain method to the way that you're going to apply the game plan in these matches. And I never got to see that. What I saw was a approach that was quite timid and tame, particularly in the ODIs. We came out in the matches looking unsure of what we want to do and how we're going to play the conditions. It didn't seem to me that it was like that it was a very smart way of the way they went about their business. They didn't read the conditions correctly, didn't do the right things for the conditions. For example, today was very important for them to be able to rotate strike and keep the ball ticking over. Obviously, it's continuously keep runs on the board so that it takes the pressures that they have, takes the pressures off them, especially when they are out of form players performing. Then, particularly, what you need is to just feel bat on ball, get time in the middle. None of that happened. The ODIs was supposed to be an opportunity for us to get time in the middle, for us to play as much, face as many balls as possible as a batting unit. And it was also an opportunity for us to give our bowlers something to defend so that they can get their rhythm going. We didn't create any of those scenarios in any of the matches that we played. I would say bar perhaps the first match, but even in the first ODI, the approach from the top order was pathetic. Um, I think that we could have been a lot better. Second match, once again, we needed to be bailed out by two players. So we didn't give ourselves the better opportunity to win that match either. And once again, over here, right now, we haven't given ourselves the best opportunity to win this particular match either. That those are concerns for me, and there are concerns for me because, and I know it's different conditions, but the fact that we aren't able to rotate the strike and build partnerships at the top of the order is a concern for me, and it's been a concern in all formats, not only in the T20 ODI format. It's been a problem for us, even in Test cricket. We struggle to rotate strike. We struggle to be able to adapt our game plan to conditions, which is something that Boucher promised us we'll probably that he'll try and get us to learn. Smart cricket, fearless cricket was what we were supposed to be playing, and we're not playing either. That's my problem. It's not like you can see that there's we may be trying to play a fearless brand, it's just maybe not coming off, or we may be trying to be smart about our business and it's maybe not coming off. It's not coming off. Full stop. I'm not even seeing signs of it. Have certain players improved under Boucher? Yes. There are some players that have improved under Boucher that have gotten better, that have found their form. But I do believe that there's been a lot of self retrospect with regards to the self and a self reflection when it comes to um, that's the word I'm looking for actually. Self reflection has been happening with our players that have gone back to their respective domestic teams and they've gone to work on their games individually. We've seen that in Riza Hendricks, we've seen that in Aiden Markram, we've seen that to an extent um, with certain other players as well within the team um, that have tried to adapt their game to suit the style of cricket that South Africa wants to play, or what Mark Boucher said initially we want to play. But in this series, I never really saw it. Uh, it was good to get a win in the final T20, of course. I thought that would propel us and give us the momentum. We then went on to win the first game of the ODI, and then things went south from there. Our batting has been very, very poor. Now, I know it's going to be different conditions in Australia, of course, and I know we're going to be playing in conditions that maybe perhaps suit South Africa a little bit more. But I'm not happy with what I saw in the series so far with the batting unit. I'm happy that maybe Aiden has had an opportunity to continue his form. At least he stays in form heading into the tournament. Maybe not these last two ODI, not this last ODI, but and not in the first one. And but in the T20s and stuff, he's gotten at least some scores under his belt. I'm glad to have seen Quinton de Kock get some runs under his belt too. At least he's going into the tournament in a lot better shape than he was in the previous tournament, and he's going into this tournament a lot better form than he went into the series, and so that's a good thing. Uh, David Miller's on form, which is good, but apart from the rest, we don't know what's going to be happening with Temba again. Still the same problem. We have Riza Hendricks that's been in form and now gets a bad gets off that form or has one bad performance going into the tournament now. So they're concerned still. I don't feel 100% comfortable with things the way they are. But positives are it's going to be in a different country, different conditions. And I feel a lot more confident with our T20 team than I do in our ODI team. I think that our ODI team would have benefited us a lot better if we came out here with confidence, playing a fearless brand of cricket, and then it failed. I would have rather lost that way than come out the way we have. The amount of dot balls that we played in this match was putrid. We faced so many dot balls, didn't rotate the strike, and yeah, struggled to adapt to conditions. So overall, actually, India's second team deserved this. They came out here, the players that performed, the youngsters came out here with no fear, taking out, taking, showing their true potential and going out there and performing. They batted beautifully, and I think India actually got more out of this tournament or this particular series than South Africa did. Okay, let's get into the callers. We've got some callers waiting for us right now, so I'm going to get into that before I get into any of the live chat stuff. Um, it's now your opportunity to have your say and have your rant. So first and foremost, we got Ikram with us. Welcome to the show, brother. What would you like to
Yeah, hello Khalid. Yeah, with regards to South Africa's performance, like it was underwhelming. Like at moment, it felt like a Hydra Klassen was gonna give a fight back with the way he batted, despite him batting a bit slow. He did put up some runs. I wish he could have maybe at least got to the half century mark. So although it wouldn't make that much of difference, it just the main fault goes from a batting perspective to the other players. Like they didn't show up today. Like they didn't put up a fight. And okay, we can't really say much about the bowlers. There's not much for them to do. So I don't think you can judge the bowlers so much in this game. But yeah, it seems like they're picking up so less points. So they made it hard for themselves to qualify for the World Cup. So it seems like we might be going to the qualifiers in July.
It does look like that's going to be the case, but they kind of made it seem that they not taking this ODI seriously. The ODI seriously leading up to this with the SA20 happening and them taking preference over T20 cricket, and it came across like they weren't taking this seriously. And then they put in a performance like this today that maybe stamps that point of view a little bit firmer. Do you think that they are maybe not focused on ODI cricket right now? That they maybe don't. They're not worried about the ODI format, and it's maybe this full focus on T20 cricket. What is your thoughts on that?
Actually, I completely agree with you on this. I think they are not focused in ODIs at all. They are way more focused on T20 with the T20 World Cup coming up. Also, with the excitement, the hype that SA20 is bringing. So, I think that is leading to a lot of these players not concentrating in the ODI format. And internationally, there's also now this talk that ODI could be the format that could like go extinct. So I feel like a lot of players are pessimistic and they don't see any sense that they should perfect the ODI game. And that's actually sad because let's not forget the 50 over World Cup is actually the biggest cricketing event there is, even bigger than the IPL and the T20 World Cup. That's
Hmm.
like the biggest uh, cricketing event out there, and this is what it's gone down to. So it's sad to see such a demise.
Yeah, it's extremely sad to see, and I don't know if South Africa or the director and the coaches, or well, obviously we're not going to have a coach after this World Cup, so we're going to have to make a decision what we're going to do over there. But generally speaking, it seems like they might be having their eye on that 2027 World Cup in South Africa, saying that maybe they're going to be rebuilding the ODI team for that. That could possibly be in the back of their mind that they want to grow a young team going forward, because we've got a lot of talented ODI players coming through the system right now that I think can be the future of South African cricket. But I don't like I don't think that the players go out there and try to lose. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't
I
believe
understand
that this
that.
group of players are like that. So but at the same time, it's a frustration when you see that players are not doing what you think they should be doing. Like for example, Lawrence said in the comment section over here, the opening 15 overs we had about 60 dot balls. I mean, just the approach of our batters. So let me ask you about this particular game. What disappointed you the most about this particular match and this series, this ODI series for you?
Okay, we'll start with the match. I'd also say the dot ball. I also agree with you and Lawrence. There were just way too many dot balls. What I believe, like in ODIs, I think the least amount of runs you should at least get per ball as a batting unit should at least get a single. If you cannot get twos, fours, or sixes, you should at least get a single run a ball. That's like minimum you should get if you want to put up runs. Like that's like the minimum you should get. And at times they were just playing way too many dots. At times it is important
Well,
that you need to rotate strike, and they were lacking in that.
do you
And
think
with
it's a
regards to the
problem?
series, oh sorry.
Sorry, do you think that's a problem in South African cricket in general? Because like it's something that I maybe I've picked up over the years now from South Africa because it's not only in ODI cricket or only in Test cricket or only in T20 cricket. I kind of feel that a lot of the next generation of cricketers that get an opportunity when they come up, they also struggle to do it. They also struggle to rotate the strike and get off the strike. It's almost like this is a it's a common problem with regards to our South African cricket system and our opening batters in general. That when they get an opportunity to play for the Proteas, they seem to struggle to run between the wickets and get off strike. What do you think is the issue around that in South African cricket?
Okay, I I don't think this is just a South African problem. This is an international issue because
Mm,
also in one of the ODI T20 games I watched, I think it was West Indies versus some other team, I can't remember. They showed like the amount of dots like each team were playing and how a lot of the players around the world were like just trying to, just go for fours and sixes, and they were not rotating strikes very often. And in that list, West Indies were at the topmost, and South Africa was like around fourth or fifth in the rankings. And I don't know who are the other teams like in between that, but it just shows that this is actually a global problem, not just a South African one. And I think the reason why a lot of players are doing this is, I don't know, maybe it's to impress people or maybe to impress franchise owners that look, we can play big shots. I think that's what it is. Or have that belief that, okay, even if I do have like two or three dot balls, I can just hit a four or six and make up for it. So maybe it's a perception thing, like a mentality thing.
mm.
That's what I
I,
think.
I think so. I think that too. Oh, sorry, this is an echo coming from your side. Okay, Ikram, I'm going to give you a your final say. What you want to leave the fans with your final words before you say bye.
Okay, so the final thing I want to say is that if the Proteas want to avoid the qualifiers, they need to basically win every game from now on. So we have England and Netherlands home. That's five fixtures. So it seems like we have to win everything. And also, let's just say if we have to come to the situation where we're in the qualifiers, we need to have that belief that okay, things have went wrong, but we just got to get the job done and be in the World Cup. And then when we get into the World Cup, we just have to give our best performance. That's it from me.
Maybe we can do a Springboks and be the first ever team to win a qualifiers going into a World Cup, eh? And like losing the first game in a World Cup and then going on to win it. Maybe South Africa can be the first one to play a qualifiers and then go on to win a World Cup.
Khalid, if that happens, I think the country is going to, explode. Like it's gonna be huge because we're winning it in a circumstances like where no one expected us, and it is our first World Cup victory. If that happens, I can say South Africa will explode with happiness, like, and we need it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ekram. I'll chat to you very soon. Thanks a lot for calling in. It was great to chat with you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Awesome. Okay, let's get on the next caller. We've got Lawrence with me. Welcome to the show, brother. Have your say.
Hi Khalid, how you doing? Yeah, it's one of those days again for us. Eh? Don't worry, I'm not Lorenzo. I'm not gonna go on one of my runs. I'm the calm one. I'm the calm one. So yeah,
I like
but
Lorenzo's
again,
rants actually because it keeps me honest.
yeah, yeah, but actually, Khalid, I think our betting today has been we've showed similar patterns throughout the series. You know, not getting off to good starts. I won't say we're getting off to bad starts in losing two, three, four, five early wickets up front. I'm not saying that. We like in the first game, I think we were 40 for no loss in the first 10 overs. The second game, we were like also 40, 41 for one after the first 10 overs. So not terrible starts, but I do think there are things that we can improve on batting at first power play. Um, One thing in particular, and I've seen it this whole series really is strike rotation. If you look at a guy like Yanaman Malan, we all know he can crunch boundaries, he can hit fours, he can hit sixes when he gets a bad ball, he can put it away. But another thing that makes a batsman a good batsman is also rotate. When a bowler bowls a good ball, rotates the strike. When it's on the wickets, instead of just punting it down the ground straight back to the bowler, just angle the bat down to third man or down to square leg for a single. And I think that is the type of things we need to start looking at. And I know the call up before me, Ikram, he said something about it's a worldwide problem. It is a worldwide problem, but if you look at other betting lineup, I think they can have that problem and they can still come good. You know what I mean? Whereas with South Africa, we will have that problem. Yes, we will strike good in one or two games, but then we will have two, three, four bad games. You understand what I mean? So I think
Yeah,
that is something we can improve on, and this is definitely not a problem we must have at the World Cup because the first 6 overs in the power play in the World Cup is going to be key for us because we've seen Khalid in our T20 side when we don't get off to a good start in the power play, we generally we struggle. We struggle. So that's going to be important. But in regards to coming back to the series again, Khalid, so pardon my friends, but I actually think it was a mistake. I think we were already at the World Cup. This was just this was just game time for him. Just to it's like it's almost like yeah, let's just get it over and done with. There's the vibe I got because the even if we analyze our all round performances during the series, batting and bowling, I don't think we have been great. That second game, our bowling in particular was poor. Was poor.
mm,
So I think maybe it's a case maybe people don't want to put extra effort in. Maybe because they don't want to get injured and set the World Cup out. Maybe that's the thinking. But I didn't see that fire we had in the D20s. Like even at first two games we lost in the first couple of games, or the first game we lost in the Pro 20s. But there was that fire, there was that desire to do well. You understand what I mean? But you could see in the 50 over, it's almost like, yeah, we're just here to do what we have to do, but our minds are actually ready to World Cup. And I think that's contradictory to what Temba Bavuma and our coach had to say, you know? So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, for me, it's disappointing. Um, but at least, as you said earlier, also that at least our form batters are still in form. Yes, Riza didn't score runs today. Yes, Markram didn't make any runs today. But our form batters are still in form, and I think that is the important thing that we can take away from the series. Regarding our bowling, Khalid, if you don't mind me going into that, I think there's our bowlers has been excellent for us for the past 2 3 years actually, but I think the last couple of months on this tour, especially in the last couple of months in white ball cricket, especially, I don't think we have seen those consistent performers from from our bowlers, especially. Yes, there's one game that Kagiso might be doing well and Giri might be doing well, but we don't see like as a collective as much like we get to see in Test cricket. Maybe because in Test cricket it's a longer format, you got to bowl a lot more overs, yeah. But I think for us to do well at the World Cup, also I think we need to start seeing a bit more of a collective bowling performance as well. And so it's going to be interesting to see how we go go during that warmer games at the World Cup. Who's gonna play? Who are they gonna give game time to? So yeah, but disappointing. I'm disappointed. Yes, not necessarily in the result because anybody can lose games, but
Mm.
I'm disappointed in the how we went
Yes.
about our cricket series. I think that's the most concerning and the thing I'm most worried about going into that World Cup. They can say yes, the conditions might differ at the World Cup. We're not going to play on the same pitches and all of that. But you must be able to rotate strike on in any situation, on any ground, in any series, in any World Cup event. This is the basic things. I think the basic things this series I don't think we did it well, and that's concerning for me. So hopefully maybe it's a blip. Let's hope so, because 90% of the squad is our T20 squad. So let's hope they get to the World Cup and yeah, just do their thing. Because that's gonna be an important event for us.
Yeah. Okay. So you raised a lot of points, and I want to go through most of it. Let's start with the opening one when you spoke about, of course, the um, opening. Obviously, Ikram also spoke about it everywhere around the world, saying that the issue is that's an issue in the power play, whatever the case may be. I think that my I don't think that everybody has the same issue with regards to the opening pairs necessarily all the time, as frequently as South Africa. I don't think
Yeah,
we
that's correct.
find ourselves in a lot of situations where we for naught and 50 and for naught and 70. I think there was something that I saw earlier on that Werner shared on Twitter that I screenshotted. Um, he said the power play scores by South Africa in each Super League match since the starting with the first match versus Pakistan in 2021. 43 for 3 was we lost 56 for 1, 44 for 0, 51 for 1, 58 for 0, 49 for 1, 50 for 1. It rarely goes above 60, 70, 80.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
you'd like to see, of course, in power plays, of course. So that's a problem that South Africa's been having for a while now, that we haven't been able to put up those opening stands. That you remember those times where we had Quinny and Amala, and we always used to have these opening record partnership stands that we used to
Yeah.
have for South Africa, and Herschel Gibbs and Graham Smith, and those type of partnerships that we used to have. We've struggled to find a partner for Quinny that helps him in the best manner to be able to do a partnership, to have the best partner for
Well,
Quinny
don't
is
you
what.
don't you don't don't you also think that maybe a reason for that is maybe because we had Quinton de Kock who was out of form, and to a certain degree also we have now Yaneman Malan for the past I think
And Temba
12 or
out of
13
form.
games and him out of form. So I think um, that is might be the contributing factor to us not getting off to those powerful explosive starts. Like you said, when we had inform Quinton or maybe inform Hashim Amla in the past. So that is quite concerning because we must also understand the World Cup, the 2023 World Cup is next year. It's around the corner as well. It is going to be the same
Yeah,
conditions we played this series in. So I think that is a real concern for South Africa at the top of the order because we know, quality, we know, we've seen it in this series. When you're not getting off to a good start, especially on those Indian wickets, it's imperative that when you don't get off to a good start, don't lose wickets because then you can gradually play yourself into the innings and maybe launch from the 35th, the 40th over at the back end. But we can't afford, like today, slow start, lose regular wickets because then we're in trouble. Because on these Indian wickets, you're never gonna be in when you six down 50. You're never gonna be in. You're hardly gonna recover from that. So I agree with you. It's we're not seeing those explosive starts at the minute, like we've seen in the past. But the major contributing factor is for me because we had players in Quinton out of form. We have a player in Yaneman Malan are currently out of form because I think in his last 12, 13 games he averages around 26. 250s, striking at 69,
Mm.
70. So that's not good enough. Um, and then obviously we have Timber also not getting runs, and all of those three players are in our top three, so to speak. So I think that is probably the major contributing factor to why we're not getting off to those good starts.
You see, what I think we need to start doing maybe when we're looking forward to, especially in the ODI format, I think right now that needs a major overhaul, I feel, currently. Our ODIs have been poor. I mean, our T20 cricket, we seem to have found I think we have found a method that works right now. If we can continue doing this, I think we do stand a chance to make it into the knockouts in the T20s. I do believe that still with the talent that we have. So I think maybe
100%.
if we can get into the knockouts and then or possibly lift the trophy, I think we're on the right path with our T20 cricket. I don't mind picking people, no matter how good they are in T20 cricket, how old they are, no matter what. I think our T20 cricket should just be based on that. In our ODIs right now, though, we because it happens every 4 years, it's important that you need to be able to build a team leading up to those that World Cup that is in form. And I would prefer if it was a team and a core group of players that were playing for the 4 years leading up to that World Cup consistently as a unit, and then going to go and try and win it. Not still
Yeah,
looking for players a year or two from the World Cup like we have been
from the
doing
World
for the
Cup.
last 10
Exactly.
years. Yeah, we've been doing that for the last 10 years. We've been like um 1 year, 2 years from the World Cup, or a couple of months, we're still looking for players to fit into the team, and I don't like that. I want us to know who our players are, who's our opening batters, who are the backups, who are number threes, who are the backups, who are the number fours, who are the backups, and then rotate between those people, not pulling people from random areas that have never been even in the looking for a South African spot, and then
Yeah.
suddenly they're making their debut for South Africa. I think it is almost like very desperate and lackluster the way
Yes.
we do things. So what I would like to see is South Africa decide on a way they want to play their cricket, and then pick combinations that work based on what they need. So if they need a player that, for example, that needs to be able to be adaptive and run between the wickets, go to the domestic scene, see of the players which have done that successfully, and pick those players that can do that particular role for our
Yeah.
team, especially when you know you're going to difficult conditions like India, where the ball is not necessarily going to come onto the bat as much, and you need to be able to push it into the gaps and run singles, etc. So pick your best players for that role that you want. What I feel is that we're not doing that. We're picking basically only on form, and we're not looking at the other factors that are maybe not tangible. So I think those are things
Colin,
that are important that we need to look at as well when we're picking our batters.
do you think maybe because the reason why we're sitting with this problem, like we don't have the really the next guys in, if you know what I mean, is because the our A side, our South African A side, is not playing enough cricket. Because I really don't know why the A side ain't playing a lot of cricket. Because if you look
Money.
at India, they recently had a series. They played a 3 match 4 day series against the New Zealand A side
Mm.
in India. In India, so they prioritize the next guys coming through the system. Okay, these are the guys we identifying. We identify them at the state level or domestic level. We're gonna put him in the A side. We're gonna inform the coaches at the A side. Look here, this is the blueprint from the Protea side, ODI side, T20 side, Test side. This is the blueprint. This is the way we want you guys to play. So whenever we pull up a guy from the A side into the South African side, he knows exactly the blueprint, the style of play, what we expect from him in a certain position. And I think the, the factor, the main factor, um, is because we don't see how A side plays play a lot of cricket. Maybe that is financial because we already know there's a lot of talk that they already cutting the Colts tournament or league this year, club cricket, because of financial reasons, because they ain't enough
Yes,
money to pump into that. So maybe they're doing that, but the same with that's why us A side is not playing as well because
that is
financial
why. Yes,
reasons. Yeah,
that's what I've been.
but
That's what
Carl,
I've been told. I asked the
yeah,
question about the SA tour and the 19 tours, etc. Like that. They said that from what I've heard, and what I've been told is that they're going to be cutting those programs because of the there's no money to be able to send our players on those tours. Those tours are expensive. They cost a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah,
And
but
you know,
I
South
understand.
Africa
But
in trouble with regards to that.
me and you both know, Khalid. If we want cricketers for the future, we need to invest in them. We need to we can't sit here and say, oh, or CSA can't sit here and say, okay, but there's no money for us to send these boys on tour. There's no money for us to send to put the A side together to tour to Zimbabwe and stuff like that.
Or
If we
even
want
bring
to
them
do well,
here.
or we can bring them. Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
can invite Bangladesh over, New Zealand guys over. I'm sure the rich boys wouldn't mind touring to South Africa as well. So, but for me, if I think if we want to do well in T20 cricket, in 50 over cricket, in Test cricket, all it, I think we need to
Mm.
start having a blueprint right down from the top,
Yeah.
right down to our domestic side. Because
Yeah.
domestic, domestically, we see how the Titans play a different brand to the Warriors. Cobras plays a different brand to the Knights, for example. My conditions, yes, but I think the small things. I think the small things. I think we need our selectors and our coaches to go down to these players and say, look here, this is what we need from the top three batters because this is what we want to see in the Proteas. This is the level we see the Proteas. So we want to see this in our domestic setup as well. So when whatever happens when that player gets picked up, Khalid, he knows exactly the blueprint that the Proteas play with, and he can just slot in comfortably, nicely, without any yes pressure, playing pressure, yes, but at least the game plan he is playing a domestic of ICA will be the same game plan he's playing with, batting in that position or bowling at a certain stage when he plays for his domestic side or for the SAA side. And I think that is something we need to work towards. And I really hope with the new coaches, I think they're talking about the split, the dual coach, and it's our I don't know if it's a coincidence that Lance Klusner is now stepped away from the Zimbabwe role. Um, so maybe that's an inkling that he might even be considered to for that white ball
Mm.
coaching job. But
You
who
know,
knows?
eh?
But I think we yeah go ahead.
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry, guys. I just want to apologize to the callers and everybody out there watching as well. Sometimes the connections between us and the callers are not necessarily as smooth, and sometimes I think the call is finished and it stops and
Oh yeah,
it goes blank, and then I think you
yes,
finish
yes,
and then you're not, and then I speak. So I'm really sorry about that.
yeah. But
Okay,
you can
so
go ahead
so
now. I'm done, honey.
okay, cool. So I wanna say something about Enoch, for example, because when I remember when Enoch took over the job at the Lions, etc. He when I interviewed him the first time, and spoke not interviewed him, spoke to him the first time, asking him about his brand of cricket, etc. He spoke about this attacking brand of cricket back then. He said that he wants the Lions to be able to play this brand of cricket. He believes that the Proteas should be playing this brand of cricket, and it starts in the
Yep,
T20 arena. So I
yep.
listened to him and I was like, "Do you really want to?" At that time, when I heard him, I was thinking, "Do you really want to go this way? This is a very bold way to go." He then took over the Josie Stars, and in all his press conference, spoke about the same mentality, coming out, attacking in the power play, being aggressive. That was the mindset that he spoke about. And the Josie Stars team in the first Mzansi Super League played that way. Then he got the job at the Proteas, and he spoke about the same thing about how he wants to play our T20 cricket. Do you remember that it was a slight period when he was the coach where we were coming out swinging? We came out and we were
Yes,
just going at everything.
yes.
He was, and I remember the
I think
conversation afterwards. He said,
it was in India.
"Yes,
When he was
I
interim
think it
coach,
was in
he played
India.
the T20 there as
Yes,
well. Yeah.
yeah." So I remember him saying that this is the style of cricket that we want to move into, but we don't want to just come out swinging. You also want to play smartly. And I remember some people laughing at him with his mentality, but there wasn't much he could do because he was still interim. Then Boucher took over, and then there was a lot of the talk. We know there was a lot of talk about playing this brand of cricket, aggressive, smart brand of cricket, whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. But I haven't seen that in any of the games that we played because even Janeman Malan and Quinn de Kock, they're not playing that brand of cricket in the power play. They're both
They
playing a very
don't.
similar brand of cricket, eating up dot balls, taking their time,
Very
finding the bounce
conservative.
now and again. Very conservative. And 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 it's a concern for me because why it's a concern for me is because that means that every single time there's a youngster that we pick, we are looking at players, similar players that are doing similar things, rather than
Mm.
picking someone that maybe can add a extra different, something different to the game. And I thought that's the direction we were going when we picked someone like Alvarez, because Calvarena at the
Mm.
time was the type of player that played the T20 cricket in that brand, in that vein. He wasn't playing cricket in the same vein as a Tristan Stubbs. He was playing more of a type of vein in where a player that
Yeah.
accumulates runs and continues things kicking over. And I thought maybe that's the way they're looking at it with regards to roles. And then all of that was basically erased, because whenever we see them come out to the middle, they play a different brand of cricket. And the problem here is, it's not the fact that I'm saying no, they're not rotating strike. There's no intent to rotate strike. It's a different thing where
Absolutely not.
if there was an intent to try and rotate the strike, but they're not. They're going for big shots, and the balls are going straight to the fielders, and it ends up being a dot ball. They're not playing shots that gives me the feeling that they're intending to rotate the strike, keep the pressure on the bowlers. Because what we are actually doing, especially against the Indian bowlers and the subcontinent bowlers, they pride themselves on consistency, on dangerous lines of lengths, consistency all the time, putting it on that delivery and testing you. The only way that that you can put pressure back on them is either hitting them to the boundary or rotating the strike. But
Mm.
yet, what we are doing is
And I think
we're playing into their strengths. We're playing into their strengths by
yes,
giving them so many dot deliveries. Because every time there's a dot ball, and every single time they see us going for trying to go for a massive hit and going for a shot, and it goes to the fielder, they win, because they know that they just have to put
exactly.
it on exactly the same spot again. So we're actually playing into their hands, and it's concerning for me.
And that is not there hasn't been a problem only this series. It's been
Mm,
a problem for a while now. But I do think um, the best period in the series where we did that was it that first game in Lucknow when between Miller and Klaassen and
mm,
Heinrich Klaassen in particular. I think that was the best period where they the good balls off strike put the bad balls away. And that is something that we even at the club level gets taught, try to make singles and put the ball in the gaps when it's a good ball. Look, if a ball has your number on, is your number one. But you, as a batsman, you can't just sit there or stand there trying to survive and hoping and praying. Okay, let me get the good ball here, trying to put, and I'm gonna try and put it away. Because what's gonna happen if the guy bowls you 20 good balls? It's gonna be what 17, 18 dot balls then. It's
mm,
3 overs of dots.
mm.
So that is
And
that
you
is
know,
that is something we really need to work on.
mm.
Because
And
like
you
you
know,
said also, there's absolutely no intent. Even with the
mm,
Yanaman, you could see how like there's actually no intent for him to make a single. He just blocks the ball and tries to hit the bad ball away for a boundary.
mm,
So actually no intent to actually run in run for your runs. And I
mm.
think we need to start doing that because
Yeah,
it's a problem now.
and that's why I thought Boucher so badly wanted Bavuma in the team, because that's probably one of Bavuma's best attributes, is finding a single and getting off strike. Like, that's why I
Rasif
thought
and
that he
Addison
would.
as well.
And Rassi van der Dussen as well. He's a big loss, but that's another story. He's obviously a more number four, number five, number three batter. But I thought that that was the reason why they wanted that partnership between. And not only that, I always thought that the best way forward for South African T20 cricket is to obviously get the best out of Quinton de Kock. I always thought
Yeah.
that that was the way. And Quinton de Kock always performed well when he had a calm man at the other side of the crease. Always, in every single
Yeah.
format, in every single team that he plays for, go look at his partners at the other end. They all calm heads. Rohit Sharma, Hashim Amla. Look at back in the days, all back in the day. If you look at the partners that he has, it's always the calm heads that seem to be working well with him. I think at the time with the Blitz as well, when David Malan was batting in number three, I think. Um,
Mm.
it was a calm. You used to lose Janaman early, or it used to be vice versa, and then you have this calm made in David Malan that looks to try and rotate strike and play. So I'm looking at
Right.
patterns. I'm trying to look at consistencies and see what is the best in each position. Now, currently, my standings going into this World Cup is that Riza Hendrik should open the batting with Quinton de Kock, because he's the most informed. So my problem with
100%.
Pavuma at the moment, I've never had issue with Bavuma being a T20 player or whether he's good enough for T20 cricket. I believe that Temba Bavuma is good enough for T20 cricket, but I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he suits what we need right now in that opening
No,
slot because he's not in form. That's one reason, and also maybe his game doesn't suit us in every single conditions that we play.
conditions.
I think
Yes,
I think in certain areas he will survive, but maybe that's okay if he comes off every 2-3 games. That would be a fine if the rest of the team is performing well because of the amount of world class players we have. So logistically, it could work. But at this very moment, I believe that form should be credited and be rewarded. And at this moment, I feel that Riza should open. But
you should
when I look
open.
at so when I'm looking at this particular team right now, so that's what I'm talking about right now. But you can see that Quinton de Kock, generally speaking, needs someone that is a little bit more calm at the crease. And I think that Riza, the way he is currently in his element, he seems very calm. He doesn't seem to be
He's a
bothered.
nice calm character.
Yeah, he's a very calm character. So I think it will work there too with Quinny. I think that does create some calmness. But I think we when Bavuma's not playing and he's not and he's not in this team and Rassi's not playing, those are two players that give a calmness to this team when they're under pressure. And I think that we tend to panic when we're under pressure. We saw Keshav panic yesterday when he was batting. Um,
Yep.
it seemed like he was panicking a bit when he needed to give the strike to David Miller to face the majority of the balls. Um, and when I'm looking at certain things with regards to this team and what they need, at the moment, Timber doesn't fit into this team and what we need as a T20 batter at the top of the order because we
You
have
know,
a problem with regards to this power play. And the power play is a big problem whether Janaman plays, whether Temba plays, whether when Riza played, it looked better. We have to admit.
it looked good.
We looked a
Well,
lot
because
better when Riza was.
yeah, when Reza played, he was the form guy, and Quinny de Kock was the out of form guy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was reversed there. But, yeah, that's a good point you made there. And I actually do think in the T20s as well, and this is particularly where I think we've struggled with a guy like Riley Rousseau in number 3 because he might not be that calming influence in number 3, but he will be that experienced guy, He's not going to be phased when he comes in and the run rate is 10, 11, 12 or over. He's just going to go about his business. Whether we batting first or batting second, he will just go about his business. And I think experienced players leading from the front, not getting flustered, is also showing a bit of authority and also control. We in control, which also gives off calmness vibes, if you understand what I mean.
Mhm.
So in that regard, I think we've struggled with Riley Russell at 3. And I agree 100% with your comment also, Khalid. The problem is not Kemba Bavuma playing, right? If he scored runs and was in form, we wouldn't be sitting
Yeah,
on
we wouldn't be
Twitter
sitting here
and
talking.
on
Yeah.
Facebook and on streams talking about why is Timber playing, why is Reza sitting on the bench. The issue is not him not being a good T20 cricketer because we all know he's a decent T20 player. He scored 100 in the final under pressure in T20 cricket. He scored runs for South Africa. I think the best knock I seen him play was up in East London against England, where he smashed up the Jofra Arts, the whole England
Mhm.
attack on that day. So he can play the
He
game.
has
And
it
when
in
Temba
him,
is in form,
but
he has it in him, but we're not seeing it consistently. And I think that's the
no,
issue.
that's
We're
the
not,
problem. Yeah.
and that's the problem. So if we say moving ahead, maybe after the World Cup, look at Temba, we're gonna take away the captaincy, but that doesn't mean we say we close the door on you in terms of T20 cricket. You're not maybe gonna be in
Can,
our starting lineup, but you can surely be one of our backups.
can I throw in a spanner into the mix and ask you a question here quickly? It's on what you're saying. Is it possible
Go
for
for it.
maybe to have? Is it possible to maybe have Timba in the team and maybe he doesn't play every match, but he plays in certain matches where it might be a little bit difficult to get runs in the power play, etc. Because I think those games he prospers in, when the pitch is not necessarily doing what we think it's going to do, coming onto the patch nicely. Kurti knocks him, maybe throw Temba in those matches in the World Cup and perform
That is
in
yeah.
that match, and
I,
then maybe
I,
on
I spoke yeah.
and then maybe in
That's a
matches which
very
are a
good
little
point
bit
you're
more.
making there because the other
I'm
guy,
asking. I don't know if it's possible. I'm just asking.
yeah, that's a very good point because that is actually something that I spoke to Lorenzo and my other friends also about the other day. Where I said, for me, that first 2 3 games, it's gonna be important for us to play Riza Hendricks, to play our best informed players, to play our best side. Say we win our first 2 3 4 games, say 3 games. Then the fourth game, maybe we play a qualifier or we play one of the teams that's not doing so well in the tournament. Or we get, like you said, or we get to a ground where we know, oof, it's going to be difficult to play big shots here. So we might need a player that can come in and accumulate the runs and 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 do it that way, rotating the strike. So in that regard, I can see it working. 100% I can see it work. But us seeing it working and what Mark Boucher thinking is and what the
Mm.
selectors thinking is
Stuff
and
like
with
that.
them coming out and saying, we back this guy, we back them to the hill and back and I I don't see that happening. I really don't. And it's gonna be disappointing. It's gonna be disappointing for me to see a guy like Riza Hendrik sitting on the bench in the first game of the World Cup. It's gonna be really disappointing for me because I feel on those wickets in Australia, flat wickets, ball will come onto the bat. If he threw the line, so if you inform better, you're gonna chomping on the pitch to get out there and score runs. I definitely can see your that thinking working, but I don't think that's the route they're gonna go with.
Mm. Yeah, we don't know what. That's the thing now, because uh, I think we had that mentality mindset going into last year's World Cup, but I don't think that we predicted the whole scandal with Quinton de Kock happening. I think
Yeah,
that threw us off
yeah,
completely, and then we started
yeah.
playing two players that maybe two players that played a similar brand, because I think the roles of everybody, I think people were given roles in that World Cup that year. You're going to play this role in this team and you're going to try and bat and not lose your wicket. I think Pavuma and Riza were given that instructions, I think, to bat through the innings as long as
Just,
possible and give it
just,
give
just a
give the
quick question.
platform for
Just a
likes
quick
of.
question for you, Khalid. On that the thing we spoke about now. If it if they open to that suggestion, right? Who do you rotate him with? Do you rotate him at the top of the order, or do you rotate him
Yes,
with someone in the middle order at the top?
I rotate. I rotate him at the top. I think I will swipe because Riza also,
Uh,
like,
Top two.
there's certain wickets that trouble Riza too. And I think in
Yeah.
Australia, with the balls coming onto the bat and the ball has a lot of bounce, I think those wickets suit Riza to the T. And I think,
Yes.
and
Yes.
to the degree you could say it could also work for Temba, but we've never really seen Temba play a series in Australia yet. So unfortunately, we don't
That's
know what
true.
he can do in
That's
T20
true.
cricket. You know, so
Actually,
at the
Riza,
moment,
actually, Riza's debut game came in Australia. He scored a 70 odd.
there we go. So I know that Riza Hendricks
Yeah.
in those type of conditions it suits him. So I think you're right by saying if the first pitch that we play on is that type of typical Australian wicket, we throw Riza in there, let him play, and we throw but if it's in a little bit, I don't know if Australia has grounds that are small and compact and difficult to bat on. But if that happens, then throw
I
in
think
a Bavuma.
I think Adelaide is quite a small ground. Adelaide.
Okay, so there we go. So maybe a ground like that might be able to suit someone like Pavuma. I don't know, but the captaincy and also the captaincy side of things, because I do feel that South Africa's lost without his captaincy. They don't seem as assured. The bowlers don't even seem as assured when Bavuma's not on the field as a captain. I don't know if you pick up the same thing,
I, I,
but the
I, picked,
captaincy
I
thing.
picked it up in the last game. I picked it up when Keshav
Mm,
Maharaj was captain. You could
okay,
see he was
cool.
flustered a bit. There,
Yeah.
there was there was a there was there was a time where where Kesh was as a captain, he was absolutely nowhere in the game. You could see it on his face. He didn't know what to do when Stage Aya and what's his name smacked us all around the park.
Mm.
He then bowled Nokia from the one end and himself from the other end. He got pumped for a couple of like two or three sixes from Kishan. Um,
Mm.
then he took off Nokia. Then he brought Bjorn on from the other side, and they smashed up Bjorn as well. Something you just got smashed up by Kishan. Now you're bringing Bjorn for Tain also on. Now he's also getting smashed up. So you could
Yeah.
see, and those are the things that like
That
a
can
guy like
lose you a
Sema
game.
Bavuma,
Yeah.
yeah. But and I don't see Pavuma. Yes, Pavuma sometimes does make mistakes, but I don't see it on that scale, on that level. Is what I
Mm.
saw in the second ODI. Um,
Yeah.
but
And we
then
don't know how
again,
David's gonna be either. So because we didn't get to see David today do anything because of the low total that was posted. So we couldn't really see him under pressure as a captain.
and I don't think and I don't think him being captain and captain from the sidelines, I don't think that's gonna be a good look for our politicians as well, just to get that out there as well.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. We need to. That's something that I think they need to decide. Lawrence, shot for coming on, bro. I'm sure we're gonna have
Top
another
boys,
conversation very soon. It was
all
an I
positive
really
vibes,
enjoyed this
all positive
conversation.
vibes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation. Chat to you again soon, bro.
You know why I'm happy, Khalid? You know why I'm happy? Because
Hmm?
Arsenal is top of the league.
No wonder. Well, but
Top of the league.
honestly, tell me something, man. Were you a Arsenal? Because we haven't spoken about football yet, and maybe we should have a show where we
No.
get to maybe talk a little bit about football, and maybe on a podcast show. But were you a person? Were you Arteta in, Arteta out? Where were you in the whole Arteta vibe? What's your vibe on him?
I've always been I've always been a person that gives people chances, especially when Arteta first came in. Before that, we had Unai Emery, and things went
Mm,
haywire. Things went haywire from Arsene Wenger's last days at Arsenal. Then we brought in Unai Emery. He did okay with the side, but I think the major fallouts there was him and the players. They just didn't gel, so they sacked him, and they brought in Arteta. And from the first minute, they brought in Arteta. Just the way he speaks, man, just speaks about the game,
mm,
how to set up a game, how to go about certain things, especially in the dressing room as well. You know, not giving power away. So many times we see in football, especially managers giving too much power to players, and I think that's a problem Manchester United has had with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Gave too much power to the Man United dressing room, a lot of leaks in the dressing room. You see how he dealt with the Aubameyang situation in the All or Nothing documentary. You know, yes, Aubameyang, you're a fantastic player. You did fantastically well for Arsenal, but discipline important for him, and performance is important for him. And and that's I think that is the characters I've seen in the manager that yeah, I'm gonna back this guy. I'm especially that I think last season that first 10, 15 games, I think we lost about 8, 9 of it, you know, and people were calling for him to get sacked and
yeah.
but you could see that wasn't the place that he wanted. That wasn't his side. And we went into the transfer market. I think we bought well in the last three transfer market. We bought players that suit his style of play. Um, wing not the wing backs, but your left back overlapping with Martinelli on
Mm,
the left hand side and Ben White and Takiro Tomiyasu tucking in on the right hand side. Yes, Ben White overlapping sometimes, but I think on the right hand side, our most dangerous side is coming from the left hand side at the moment. With
yeah.
Tierney, with Zinchenko when he's playing, with Xhaka overlapping when he's playing. Um,
Gabriel
so
Martinelli.
yeah, all good vibes at the moment, the
Oh
Arsenal, and yeah, I'm happy with the
God.
management. I was always Arteta in.
Yeah. Gabriel Martinelli is just another player, bro.
That boy's class, man. He's
Yeah,
so
he's class.
direct, he reminds me a lot of Alexis Sanchez. Direct, taking players on, putting the ball in the
Mm,
box. You know, has vision, has a good good goal scoring ability. That boy is class, man. And I'm just so happy that we're talking about him extending his contract as well. So yeah, all good, man.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, do all of those things, please. And download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Monthly. But we'll be back to again tomorrow with another daily show. Looking forward to having a conversation with you guys again about more cricket. Maybe we'll do another call in for you guys to come chat with us as a panel if I can get a panel on. But thanks a lot and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks a lot, Lawrence. All you out there. Peace out, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.